Happy Sabbath, fam. Praising love for the struggles of this week. So, after the delivery of love's offering to the altar last Sabbath, I was led to focus on rest for this Sabbath. So, praising love for these struggles, these growing pains in our lives. This week's struggles included one that came with a testimony of my excitement for the upcoming challenges. So I've been wanting to start the day with an attitude of gratitude from the first breath of consciousness. It's been a long journey and probably could have been shorter had I made more effort. But I finally can say that not that I've developed the habit of it, but that I'm way closer because earlier this week, on the second day after Sabbath, Monday morning, I've been trying to train my mind to ask myself before I grab my phone, when was the last time that I praised love? When was the last time that I had gratitude, right? And it finally happened on Monday morning. So for the first half of my transition efforts from waking up to getting to it, I was just flooded with prayers answered, not in so much the fulfillment of them, but rather knowing my place in those prayers, knowing the efforts that would be effective for love's will in those matters. And so I spent the rest of the week trying to invite all of you to join me in sending praises up to love for it, right? I felt like my gratitude wasn't good enough to fulfill what love deserved at that moment. It's been a long time since I felt excited about the upcoming unknowns. And then, because of all the answered prayers as well, I knew that I needed to make extra effort in the invites to subscribe to this channel because the jawbones that I'm going to be putting out there between Sabbaths, they're going to be the ones that you want to implement as soon as possible. So I stopped my morning routine, right, that helps me transition into this. And the sense of gratitude I had after just an hour in was so overwhelming that I realized I could start learning how to share my burdens by sharing this one, right? It was too much excitement for me to maintain focus. I was practically already living in the moment of accomplishment and victory. Like, we didn't even get started yet. So I skipped washing my teeth and brushing my face. Yes, I know I said that backwards. And that's kind of how I started. It was en route to sit here. I had to start recording so that I can already say thank you, Lord. And then by the time I put my shirt on and my hats, we'd already have our praises being sent. And then I was going right into inviting you to subscribe so that you can implement these tools I'm calling jawbones in the light of a Bible story where Samson eliminates 1,000 of his enemies with a donkey's jawbone. So in between these Sabbath offerings, you're gonna wanna be notified of the next jawbone. And at the end of the invite to subscribe were some previews of these jawbones for encouragement to hit subscribe if it hasn't been done yet. Wink, wink, come on, hit subscribe. If you haven't, I pray that the rest of this Sabbath's offering encourages you to do so, because one of the previews were focused on the jawbone of this Sabbath's offering. And I'm going to use it here to carry us into the Sabbath jawbone, right? So in my ministry in stewardship, I'm calling my tools jawbones because each one is attached to a testimony of love granting me the kind of leverage Samson sings about because of a donkey's jawbone. In this overall stewardship ministry, there's a practice of focusing on the source rather than the resource. So after the invite to subscribe, I went ahead and recorded a preview of what this Sabbath's offering is, and that confirmed my impression to focus on rest, the pause that's needed to change impossible to possible. The preview testified of my father's experience in turning a bad time into a good time because it was while he was incarcerated, he decided to join an art class. And because of his love for art, he knew that it would accomplish that mission, right? To experience something good in a bad place. And his resulting praise for doing so became an empowerment for me when something similar happened to me. So in the art class, the trainer or teacher is going around the room like a good coach, right? Advising participants how to improve on using the colors and shades of light with the tools provided. I can imagine what my dad was experiencing as his turn comes closer. I can see him being very interested in hearing how he can improve on what he loves to do. But when the time came, instead of finding out what he was expecting to learn, he was taught something better, that he had a gift from God. Love blessed him to have the trainer of the class ask him to explain how he used the tools provided. And something similar happened to me with a training I was required to enroll in for me to continue to the next step of a program I knew I needed. The training I was enrolled in is covered in this workbook. It's called TIP for Workforce Development, and TIP stands for Transforming Impossible to Possible. So for me, in the first day that we were basically afforded the opportunity to introduce ourselves to each other and share anything that we would be willing to offer or request for support in the work of becoming gainfully employed. So I may have shared at that moment that my experiences helped me to realize that it just takes some time to pause and be still and know that love is God. Love specializes in miracles, and if we just let love work sometimes, like sometimes it's a partnership, right? Love's work is in developing our will to partner with the work so that we can share in the victories, the honor, the glory, all of it, everything that we should praise love for. Love wants to share with us. So it's a growth in learning to balance where our place is with love. And when those roles sometimes switch, there are times where we need to get up and move forward. And then there are times where we need to just sit and be still. To transform impossible to possible is to just put a pause in between the M and the P, right? IMPOS. So put a pause there, put a space in between there. However long the space is however long it's going to take to get from I'm to possible. And sometimes love puts a big space between there, because I know that our habitual behaviors from the realities that death causes us to fear, we don't put long pauses there. But if we just put one space between the M and the P, we will transform impossible to I'm possible. And that just anchors with the Tenaichi device from last Sabbath's message. Our higher consciousness is where we connect with the spirit of our creator, who, regardless of whichever side of our creator you choose to see, it's all love. When there is no love, death begins to thrive. Because we can be breathing but not living, right? And so for me, that's the high value in the Tenaichi tool. And I got that in my own personal development of how I would implement that in teaching how we pray. And that's what that pause is, right? Sitting and being still. So I share that with the basic introduction information they ask for us to share. And then the next week, we opened up the workbook and started to go through the questions for us to ask ourselves and basically bring these thoughts into our awareness and then setting it into motion to act on them by taking action in writing down the answers to them. And then even having a page dedicated to where you would sign. So the questions would help you identify the problem and solution, right? Potential solutions. And then in the last page of a section would be where you would fill in the blank with essentially a plan of action for the next steps to take that you would sign. So now it is a personal contract with yourself. And this helps to self actualize things. I had already consumed more than enough self help information that in the third session, when I was invited to share my thoughts on whatever the topic was, I ended up sharing as well that I didn't even answer the questions here. A lot of this helps us to learn how to forgive ourselves. And it's in that action that frees us to carry gratitude, which is the key to the solution of the problem. And when I shared this understanding of how forgiveness plays a part in getting to the next better version of our lives, and then apologizing for not participating with the class in answering these questions, because I had already developed a tool based on Stephen Covey's instruction in his book, Seven Habits of Highly Effective People. Forgiveness is a part of every self-development book or self-help resource. So in Stephen Covey's identification of the second habit of highly effective people, which is to begin with the end in mind, he uses how a personal mission statement is a powerful tool to have to be able to make this a habit. Committing to reviewing your personal mission statement on a weekly basis is the habit he encourages to help develop the habit of beginning with the end in mind. So, learning how to teach others how to create their personal mission statement, like the Tenaichi device from last Sabbath's offering, was developed on Einstein's instruction of the higher consciousness, which I see as a tool for teaching how to pray. I developed a worksheet that guides us on how to create a personal mission statement that you could use to review on a weekly, just like highly effective people are in the habit of doing. I'm still developing that weekly habit, committing to bringing these offerings to Love's altar every Sabbath really helps. I'm just gonna soak in the enjoyment for now of finally getting to that behavioral goal of starting the day with gratitude. I pray that these upcoming days help to make that a real habit to wake up, and because I need to first realize the time I check my phone. So I want to be able to say thank you, good morning, and get to it, right? So when I shared how I'm seeking to develop this habit of reviewing my personal mission statement, the trainer invited me to present this worksheet and instruct on its use as a part of the following week's scheduled class, right? And so, with Love's answered prayers to my question of focus for this Sabbath, the answer of rest leading to the pause of transforming impossible to possible, and in the light of the struggles I praised Love for in my journey to get here, I'm blessed to bring a jawbone that really helped me to find direction in the depression of unknowns. So, in the description of this video should be the web address of the Google Word doc that I share to teach how to create a personal mission statement. Copy it for your own use to take your time to go through it, and send me some feedback if you like. I would like, for sure. I will not take up more of our valuable time this Sabbath. I will package up an individual job of creating a personal mission statement in this week coming up. So subscribe to this channel so that you can grab the future jawbones that I lay out as soon as possible. I should have sent them out yesterday, but the Lord's forgiven me. I pray you do too, because I've forgiven myself for it. Moving forward, Hu Guai Zhao, be blessed.